Thanks for joining us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television AIT. This is the Signature Show. My name is Mwabu Zenjoko, and I have a surprise for you this Sunday. And joining me on set this Sunday is our colleague coming all the way from Jalingo, Taraba State, Dorcas Philemon. Dorcas Philemon is of the Taraba State Television Service. Hello, Dorcas. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You and I are going to have to converse on the Signature Show this afternoon. But before we begin that conversation, I just want to tell us that one of Nigeria's foremost high life musicians from the eastern part of the country, Prince Emeka Maduka, who is popularly known as Morocco, is dead. You know, this year has been quite a very unfortunate year for the Nigerian music family. We lost one of the biggest names in the Nigerian high life family, Dr. Victor Abimbola Olaiya. We also lost the rainmaker, Majek Fashek, and we just lost Prince Morocco, whose music enthralled so many people in the southeastern part of this country. Philosophical, anecdotal, tells stories like a minstrel. Maybe some say he'll be telling that story and singing those songs in heaven. Let's wish Morocco memories of him and those he left behind, more high life days, both here and in the hereafter. All right, let's not make this Sunday a Sunday of a dirge. Dirges are not celebrative matters. There are things to mourn. We are not mourning. I've just managed to go through a write-up by Sam Ohabonwa. Now, I think Sam Ohabonwa used to be a member of Nigeria's House of Representatives, and he wrote something quite elaborate online about the number of books he had written on the emergence and evolution of a new Nigeria. Now, in the summary of his latest writing, Sam Ohabonwa said that a new Nigeria is emerging. And he said that Nigeria's independence was achieved by the youth, and that with developments in the country, the emergence of a new Nigeria will also be accomplished by the youth. Dorcas, I want to bring you in here. Ohabonwa says a new Nigerian where things will work for the majority of us is about to emerge. Do you think that a new Nigerian can and will emerge?
Yes, new Nigeria can emerge in the sense that when you look at all that is happening, or all that have started happening in the recent terms with the EndSARS protests, the youths in Nigeria are demanding for good governance. Good governance, they want to see things improving in the area of education, in the area of our health services, and so on and so forth. So I want to say, yes, that there's the possibility. And definitely, just like you earlier said, that in the past, they were the youth that championed the cause
of our independence.
And I strongly believe that the youth again can still do it. And my take on that is that if the youth of those days were able to do it, the youth of these days can as well do it.
Now, I have a worry. Some people are saying that the style the Nigerian youths are applying today is not one of the best. people say they have destroyed so many things, vandalized public property, vandalized private property, that the youth of the 50s into the 60s were debating youths.
Yep.
They will come to City Hall, come to Kaduna, come to Ajamino Canada of this world, and convince the people. Why should the youth of today resort to destroying things? That can such destructive youths really achieve a better Nigeria?
Well, from the initial stage, I think the youth on this matter started a peaceful demonstration. But somehow along the line, I think, according to what we were able to understand, the protest was hijacked by the hoodlums. And then at the end of the day, the whole thing became destructive, which of course is wrong. Nobody, no one, no mother, no father will want to see that. That our youth are destroying properties, that our youth are taking us again backward when we're supposed to move ahead. I think my take on that is that it was a wrong move. But that they started peacefully, we were expecting to see our youth dialoguing with those at the helm of the affairs, those that are our leaders, so that they will be able to see how to move forward. But it couldn't end well because the wrong ones joined the protest at the end of the day. And then it became destructive, and then condemnation came at the end of it. So nobody wants to see that.
Now, Dorcas, you're a woman.
Yes, sir.
You are in the media.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure that the emergence of a new Nigeria, the media has a contribution to make. Yes. More so, women in the media. What do you think the Nigerian media should be doing in the course of the emergence of this new Nigeria? And women journalists in particular, what role ought they to be playing?
What they are supposed to do is a critical role. The criticalness of the role is in the sense that they are supposed to sensitize the people. They are supposed to sensitize the people. They are supposed to tell them what they are supposed to do or what is expected of them to do. Now, coming back to the side of the woman or the women in journalism,
yes,
the women play a critical role in the sense that they are people that can talk and the government will hear them because they are women. They are the ones that do most of the training of these children at home, because in a home, the woman is always in the forefront of making sure that the children are being brought up well. So it is expected that when they present the issues, when the women now present the issues, it will be considered a serious matter and the government will be able to look into it. So they have a critical role to play in this journey.
In the emergence
of the new Nigeria that we're talking about.
Well, you're watching the Signature Show on AIT. This Sunday, our correspondent, Ebel Kure, looked at the critical dimension to the End SARS protest. Were there things that were not done right? Were there danger signals? That is in a special report. Please stay with us. On October the 7th, 2020, Nigerian youths began a protest calling for an end to the brutality and extrajudicial killings by the Special Anti-Robbery Unit of the Nigerian Police Force. The unit, popularly called SARS, had been accused of invading homes, educational institutions, business premises, and fun spots, where they arrest young persons, extort money from them, or even kill those who dare to question them. Progressively, however, the protests attracted other youth groups whose growls with the Nigerian state went beyond these human rights abuses by SARS. The protest turned into a kind of referendum by a Roman mob on government and governance in Nigeria. Some Nigerians feared that a revolution could be in the offing.
The progenitors of the protest say that they have a revolution in mind. So yes, if they want a revolution, there's a chance that this may actually lead to a revolution. However, the caveat is that it's a revolution that's about to happen in a democratic setting. Most revolutions in history would happen when maybe monarchs are leading or somebody has got power without the imprimatur or the say-so or the popular wishes of the people. If this will be a revolution that will happen in a democratic setting, we need to be careful.
Many Nigerians expressed concern that the government was rattled even as it was taken by surprise by the turn of events. The protests have become violent and lawlessness was overtaking the nation. The military institution, which was in power for over 29 years before the return of the present democratic order, felt a sense of unassigned duty to threaten the protesting youths, who it described as agents of subversion. A number of Nigerians have queried the entry of the military into the fray. Is there no laid-down procedure for the military to intervene in civil disorder? By the time the military issued the threat to the protesting youths, was that procedure followed? Was the National Assembly privy to the likely entry of the military into managing a purely civil disobedience? Whereas the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has said that the state government never invited the soldiers, the military authorities said last Tuesday that the state government invited them after declaring a 24-hour curfew to contain the lawlessness and looting which the protests were turning into.
It is only where the president deemed it fit and called when the situation demands for it, calls for a declaration of emergency, that the president will now be authorized by the National Assembly to call out the military to suppress or to quell any riot or any disturbance of peace and order in the society. But you will agree with me that there has been no invitation by the president or any address.
Before then, however, on October the 18th, 2020, a coalition of over 30 civil society organizations declared support for the End SARS protests and called on the military to steer clear of the civil protest.
We strongly condemn the thinly veiled threat issued by the military high command, wherein the unacceptable move is being made to crush the peaceful protest. Such a threat is ill-conceived in the face of legitimate citizens' protest and a threat to constitutionally guaranteed rights.
Unfortunately, on October the 20th, 2 days after the coalition warned the military against getting involved in the protests, a deadly shooting took place at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos State. That shooting has become the poster event that has defined the End SARS protests.
In fact, the declaration of the curfew was an afterthought. It was to try to say that, okay, oh, we actually banned protest, because the military already said it was going to intervene. Okay, and nobody in civil authority denied it, or none of them reprimanded the military when the military made that statement.
The toll gate shooting, which is now called Nigeria's Black Tuesday, has thrown up a number of questions. For instance, how faithfully is the Nigerian Constitution respected by the institutions whose operations are guided by that document? In this case, the Nigerian military. Was the Nigerian police incapable or overwhelmed to contain the situation? Has the Nigerian police force been so underdeveloped that it cannot exercise its mandate under the Constitution to preserve law and order? Even if the political leadership was taken unawares, did it recover quickly enough to rise to the demand of the protesters? There is no doubt that a number of national fault lines in addition to the demands of the NSAS protesters, have emerged. It is expected that the many panels of inquiry set up by the state governments across the country will find means to build back the bridges of confidence in government and governance to satisfy the yearnings of the protesting youths. That way, the NSAS protests would have become a major watershed in the relationship between the government and the Nigerian people. Yes, we're still watching the Signature Show on AIT. Next is our conversation. Many of us know Dr. Peter Ozoesan, a man who invested so much of his life into the struggle for equitable remuneration in this country. As a matter of truth, he said his own struggle was about an appropriate reward structure in Nigeria. In the course of this NSAS crisis, many people have said that the inappropriateness, the inequity, the unbalanced nature of our reward system also contributed to young persons feeling angry. Our conversation this Sunday is with Dr. Peter Ozoesan, former General Secretary of Nigerian Labour Congress. Please stay with us.
This is SignatureTV.org. Breaking the news. Following the news. Analyzing the news. 247 round the clock. All on the go. SignatureTV.org. News in your pocket.
Well, let me welcome you to the conversation segment of the Signature Show on AIT. I have as my guest Dr. Ozoesan. Of course, many of us know Dr. Ozoesan as, first and foremost, an economist, but more profoundly, as somebody who has struggled for an appropriate reward system in this country under the Nigerian Labour Congress, former General Secretary of Nigerian Labour Congress. Dr. Ozoesan, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Now, Dr. Ozoesan, I'm going to begin this conversation by giving you some statistics, which I'll be making reference to from time to time. This is the reward, the salaries of senators around the world, all of them political office holders. In Sri Lanka, a senator earns $5,100 per annum. In Malaysia, a senator earns $25,300 per annum. In Spain, $43,900. In Ghana, $46,500. In Saudi Arabia, $64,000. In France, $85,900. South Africa, $104,000. In UK, $105,400. In Germany, $119,500. In Canada, $154,000. In the United States, $174,000. And in Nigeria, $2,183,685. Dr. So, what's your take on this?
Well, I think those figures are mind-boggling. But actually, I think by just looking at even those figures by themselves, we understate the magnitude of the problem. Because if we took those figures country by country and relate them as ratios or proportions of, say, the national minimum wage in those countries, we will see that the matter is even more staggering than just those absolute figures are telling us. Because if you take a country where it is $25,000, for instance, and they have a minimum wage that amounts to over 5,000, the proportionality will be computed. If you then take our situation, in which you're talking of 2-point-something million, and you take that in relation to a minimum wage that we have in the country, you will see that the gap and the disproportionality is even more fundamental than those figures and those statistics give to us. Unfortunately, what is important, actually, from an economic point of view, is not the absolute amount. It is the relativity of the earnings between different operators, between various classes of people, and that is what determines, from a development point of view, where people want to move into. If we have shortages, for instance, of plumbers, quality plumbers, then the market should reflect by giving to the existing plumbers a high remuneration. It is that relative high remuneration that will then attract some talents or manpower to come and specialize as welders, in which case that will help to redistribute resources and human resources between different sectors. The crisis in our country, I don't know how it happened, but clearly you are right when you say that what we are having in the country today, these protests, the EndSARS and the ancillary issues, have in some degree originated from the inappropriate reward system in a relativity manner. Because you see, if you look at even the demands, the first 6 demands or so that the EndSARS youth put forward, one of them was that they needed that the remuneration of political office holders should be drastically reduced, and that legislators should then become part-time and all that. So you are right. The matter is a part of the basis of agitation that has galvanized anger and that has created this situation.
Now, Doc, let me interject a little bit here. I hope you do not mind.
Yes.
Some of our senators who will be following this program this afternoon will feel that they are being wrongly or unfairly profiled. Let us expand remuneration at the political level. Members of House of Representatives, our governors, our ministers, the president, who has as many aircraft as I cannot count in the presidential fleet. These are all indices of reward defined by our country. A president should have 5 aircraft, 6 aircraft in his presidential fleet. A minister should have his car and then 4 other cars attached. A member of House of Representatives should not drive a car he bought, but should be given an SUV from the public purse. So in a descending order, the man in the classroom, the worker, the artisan, the farmer is being put down on the reward ladder. So I do not want us to say it is just the senators. Now, Doc, rewarding political office holders as against rewarding productivity and critical skill, how much of it creates this kind of anger when citizens assess they're not being fairly rewarded?
Well, when we talk of what has created anger, take for instance, you are in a small village, local community. We were all maybe of the same youth age. Then somehow one person becomes a counselor. Immediately that person becomes a councillor, his contemporaries, some of them who were even more educated than himself, who had invested in building up human capital more than himself, suddenly his reward, his compensation as a councillor becomes a multiple, several multiple of what that contemporary who is a teacher or who is working in some other place now earns. They see themselves. Then the councillor starts to build a hotel. He starts to build different investments around. The people are watching. They know that this is the common cause. It is the commonwealth that has made it possible for that councillor to be amassing the type of what he's amassing. That is what creates anger. And that is why at the community level, you find that in this situation, there were attacks on public office holders' houses. I saw pictures in which even window frames were being dug out and removed. That type of anger is not just to say, I want to carry this away. It is to demonstrate and say that this has not been fairly acquired. You have robbed us in order to acquire this. And I think that is what we need to focus on. It is not, no, when we use senators, for instance, it is merely as a reference point. It is actually the whole class of political office holders. It has even gone beyond just the class of political office holders to chief executives of public institutions, in which, in order to make them to cooperate with the political class, their own compensation packages have also been beefed up disproportionately to people who work in their various establishments. So there is a complete reordering. There is the need for a complete recreation of the reward structure and the relative positions of different professions. In many countries, so the scientific way of doing this is to have a clear and well implemented process of job evaluation, in which if you then evaluated scientifically the jobs in the system, including the political positions and all that, you are then able to place them in some relativity order to say these are the most needed, these are the most important, these are the most tasking, these are the most dangerous, and various indices like that. So then build and say, therefore, this category of worker should be at the apex of the reward system. For those who are in positions where beyond the salary, they have a paraphernalia of material support, like the president, like the governor and all that. Those, you do not need to then put their salary as high. If you already take care of their feeding, you already take care of their transportation, you already take care of many of those other things, you factor that into the relativity package in ordering what is the correct reward structure to impose on the system. When you are able to do that, then you have an economy that will develop, because the importance of human capital development to the overall national development is clearly established. But you cannot have human capital development and proper human capital investment if those areas that you need the skills for development are underpriced relatively, and that you do not compensate them. These are the challenges that I think we must address if we want to turn these things around.
Dr. So there is, aside of the hard cash these people will take home, aside of the appurtenances of office, there is the management, the taking away of opportunities. I'll give you an example. The president can sit in his office and decide to give 15 people from his village jobs. The permanent secretary sees where he is and decides that his cousins and nieces will get jobs. The directors sit wherever they are, the ministers can stay wherever they are, the governors wherever they are, and award contracts to whoever pleases them. These are opportunities, to me, being taken away and administered at these people's pleasure. And when a young man leaves university, the polytechnic, with top cutting-edge skill and knowledge, and he discovers that he doesn't have a permanent secretary brother, a minister uncle, a governor a brother, a president who has somebody else who can speak for him, the opportunity, which is our collective patrimony, doesn't get to him. Doesn't it warrant anger? Doesn't it warrant pleasure? Now let me tell you what I'm heading to. Some people have said that people are looting things from warehouses. I've got a very funny WhatsApp messages telling me, what was it? Those people are not looting. The looters, they are taking from the looters their own adequate share of national patrimony. So ordinarily it looks criminal, but in a hard argument, it appears that these are angry young Nigerians who say, look, you've looted so much that you are looting me dry. Let me get some life. Let me get some opportunity. Professor, how do we address this kind of situation to also enable people get at opportunities even when they don't have somebody?
Well, two things. I agree completely that there is the problem of equity in access to our opportunities. And these are very dramatically demonstrated in a number of cases in which friends finish from the same program, they do a degree, they have classmates, they finish their youth service, they remain in touch with each other. Suddenly, you find that some inform that, oh, I have gotten a job. My uncle, who is a minister, has helped me to get a job. Or, oh, some allocation was made to my area and I have therefore got a job. Among those friends, among those classmates, you may have that the best among them. They know that those are the best among them through the years of their studying together. Who may not have connections, continues to walk the streets and has no job. Clearly, there must be anger. What that is creating in our country is that we are having pockets of disillusionment where they're saying, I do not belong. Because I do not have a minister, because I do not have a president, because I do not have a permanent secretary who will come to my aid, I am not part of this system. This system is stacked against me. That generates anger. And so when things develop, we are going to have a different reaction from such people. However, the looting, quote and unquote, that has gone on, I think we also need to be clear that a number of things have happened in these last few weeks. We saw clearly that some of the people who came out and started the initial violence were actually people who were organized and hired and deployed. There are visual records of SUVs, black SUVs without plate numbers, directing and dropping off, and youths. So once you have created a society in which you reward and unleash armed youths on their fellow citizens, you are going to get to a stage in which you lose control of even those people you hired. And those became the first people who were breaking into warehouses and all that. I think that breaking into warehouses or looting cannot be what we want to see as the response. We can canvass for justice. We can canvass for equity. But the way to do such canvassing is not by lawlessness. As somebody has said, you cannot campaign for justice using illegal to condemn, as it were, the looting, the breaking into warehouses. So why realizing that the anger may have boiled over and that the anger may have led to some of those things, we need to condemn the cultivation of the use of force among youth that even some organized people were involved in creating. I think that is, for me, the issues that are surrounding that.
Now, Dr. So, it will be difficult to ask the political class to commit rank suicide. And what do I mean by that? Do we expect the change that these young people are asking for to be effected by the same people who are profiting from the current situation? If they cannot bring the expected change, what mechanisms, what alternatives are there available for this country and for the youth in particular to be able to get the system to reward more equitably, both in terms of salaries, wages, appurtenances, as well as opportunities available?
Well, you are right that the political class will not willingly commit class suicide by addressing their own. And that was brought out clearly. You know, when the youth came out with a 6-point demand, and then the Speaker of the House made a statement, he picked a number of the issues that the youths raised and highlighted them and committed to not signing up on the 2021 budget unless so issues were addressed. But what struck me was that although their own compensation issue was one of the major platforms, he was silent on that matter. He didn't say anything about it. So you're right, they will not. But you see, if the protests of the youth, the peaceful protests of the youth had not been compromised by organized invasion of armed talks, what would have happened was that this process would have dragged out long enough until the political class starts realizing that their long-term self-interest is to negotiate a reduction in their own take. And that although in the short term, it may look like they are losing, that is the only way to guarantee their position in the long term. That is the way this, in terms of the dynamics, that this ought to have played out. But if that is not allowed to play out, then what is going to happen is that people are going to lose interest more and more in the whole process of addressing the issues that need to be addressed. In particular, we will then see that what will happen is that agitations will come. More agitations will come in the future. People are going to continue to insist in the future. And whether they like it or not, you cannot perpetually keep an angry population down. The youth are a huge proportion and a growing proportion of our national population. And the youth will be back. Youth anger will again boil over. And the system will have to find a way. And I think that we can shorten that process by either through convening a national discussion or whatever, or intervening in the restructuring or modifying the Constitution by now taking steps to reduce the issues, address this matter of unfair, unjust, unequitable compensation structure. So I think it is in the long-term interest of the political class to submit to a process that will allow that to happen.
Well, Dr. Ozeh, you've been long in this struggle. Over the years, you've been speaking about the need for equitable reward system. But it appears that those being spoken to, I must mind my language, seem to be hard of hearing, that has warranted this kind of development that we have found ourselves in. However, there are those also who said that the youth did not get it right, in the sense that the current democracy has the people's representatives in the various assemblies. If the people are hurt, what price have the representatives paid? Because the representatives in a political order, in a democratic political order in which we are, ought to be taking up these issues on regular basis. And when they fail, as they seem to have failed, should they not be the first to pay the price? And therefore, did the youth need really to pour into the streets instead of taking it out on the representatives? What do you think?
Well, you see, I think that this concept of representation in a democracy is actually a little utopian, because we are all part of the system here. We know that some of those who are representing people, or who claim to be representing people, did not win any elections. We know that our electoral system is still subject to a lot of manipulation and abuse. And therefore, the true concept of representation of the people is actually not practically in force as of today. You are right. Ideally, if there were the utopian the achievement of the utopian concept that we actually voted you, those who are representing us, we know that we selected them and we have a right to recall them, then it may not require the youth to go to the streets. All that it will require is for the youth to organize and ensure that those who go from their various communities have the same ideas as themselves. And that matter will allow for a change in the system through this representative system. But we are still very far. We are still miles away from that concept of democracy. We have a civil government, not really yet a truly democratic one, the sense that we want. So the struggle to bring about, therefore, accountability is not just through the pulling the strings of the so-called representative, who knows that next time around he can win again, even without listening to his people. He can quote and unquote win through whatever games they play. Until that ends, this approach will not be a solution. And therefore, there is need for the type of struggles that the youth embarked on. And what we need to do is that we must not leave it as a job only for the youth. We all need, as citizens, to come together to support and to help to direct the energies of our youth in continuing to ask questions, in continuing to make demands for a change and for a better tomorrow.
Well, Dr. Peter Ozeh, former General Secretary of Nigeria Labour Congress, an economist and a believer in equitable reward system, a struggle into which he's invested so many years of his life. He's been my guest this afternoon. Dr. Ozeh, thank you very much for coming to the conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Well, my name remains Mwabose Njoku. Let the conversation continue next Sunday. Good afternoon. Let me thank you for investing your time with us, but please do not forget to join us for Corruption Story, which follows immediately after. My name remains Mwabose Njoku. On your behalf, let me thank Dr. Philemon for joining us. Good afternoon.
Una welcome to another corruption tori this Sunday. Shebi una kuku sabi say e no get any kind corruption wey dey good. Whether na man or woman do am o, whether na yahoo plus or yahoo minus o, pension fraud or even if na banker wey thief money from bank, all join for inside corruption and e dey very bad. Abeg make una join me for today tori. My name na Ufoma Eguriasi. People dey yarn say woman heart soft pass man own. Na true be that? Well, our corruption tori today dey shine light put for one woman wey be banker before wey come decide say e wan thief money from the bank when e dey work. Now, instead make she dey calculate money with designer suit or okrika shoe, anyone wey she like, e don kuku knack prisoners asebi, dey learn repentance for prison yard. As we dey talk so, e balance for inside prison. Abeg, make we see how Loretta Abaye land for Kano prison.
This na corruption tori.
Kí ló fẹ́ máa try láti sọ. Ṣé ọ̀dẹ̀ wa pamọ́ dẹ̀ apá ṣé mi tí mo sọ̀rọ̀ ṣé o ní o fẹ́ máa lórí kìíní. Oya action oya. Kí ló fẹ́ máa I don't know for your man though, but I just they call me, you get the issue when they call me for. I can't reach, I can't see him again with police. I can't ask him, they tell me say traffic offense. How it be traffic offense? I can't follow you, may you leave the man. They be my member for more year. And more year they say they work. Nobody say no, they come here, they collect money on Friday. You can't stop it. No, me I look at how. You can't stop my people again. I can't follow you. They talk. The guy don't get money. Don't owe him for somewhere. Collect money from him. That's why I live on my own work. Won't go meet him for the place. I can't reach out because they say make collect the money right there in hand. Even though if it is me, I will not pay anything. I swear to God. Oh, yeah, okay, he can't reach there now. He can't reach. They don't call the day for that side. I don't collect ticket 700 today. You don't collect ticket 700. He will still pay for that ticket. He can't give you. And he will pay for the owner of the bike. He can't give you. Collect that 100 and pay 500. Because they change it.
How much are the changer? No grip for now. Talk the money or the changer. How much are the changer? Egbon. You know say na me.
How much are they don't know me for money?
How much are the changer?
You know say na me leader. Sorry sir. Sorry sir.
How much are the changer make you give me? Oh yeah, sorry.
Anything give you collect or you liver. I mean say liver.
This so useless amusu. Yeah, useless amusu. Do you know what the meaning of amusu? Idiot for Ben. It's okay.
Don't buy my phone your way. What's your way? I'm phone.
Liver.
No.
Now got the full talk. George Boben that I can deal with. Nonsense. Watch me well.
You know the look face. You know the look face. You for where?
You are no.
This na corruption tori.
For July 14, 2017, Kano State Zonal Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC for short, carry Loretta Abaye, wey be banker before for United Bank of Africa, UBA, go Kano State High Court, wey Justice DJ Aboki Bichiamo, with 5-count charge of thief join body. UBA bin petition EFCC on top thief matter for the bank, wey reach past 38.5 million naira. As dem dey investigate go, na dem find out say Loretta thief 12.8 million naira for inside that money wey loss. EFCC yarn say no be only Loretta thief all the complete money. She join body with Bonlanle Ajoke Sogbesan and Adekunle Runsewe, but these two people don gbase run before they fit to catch them.
A murder involving in a bank fraud, and that's terrible. That's very, very terrible. I feel
Wait,
very, very bad.
A murder
How
put hand for wayo inside bank like, where she dey work. Water don't pass Gary be that now. I pity her children. Look them, look mama where the thief. How people go see them? Picking thief? People go say, goat the chop. Him picking they look him out. The future of those children, it don't scatter, it don't pass, can no hope. Because their mama supposed to they show them example. Again, wahala don't come for that bank. People no go want put their money for that bank because the woman don't scatter the confidence of the people. if woman bank staff fit corner the money from the bank, I mean woman far, and that one be say for that bank nothing dey safe. Oh, lie. That one be say customer of that bank go just pick race, dodge with their money before another woman snake for that bank go swallow their money. But look, if bank no dey safe to keep money, which place go dey safe? Look, this woman don't cause wahala, if you ask me.
Mothers, we see them as role models, and when you hear something like that, you'll be imagining as a child that is growing up.
Mama,
what kind of mother is this?
Supposed to be role model, I mean example for picking that. And if you hear say a mother for bank don't become voyeurist, take this one, you go chop. Take this one, your money go miss. You will say this word, it don't scatter. If a woman can thief money for the bank where she dey work, customers of that bank now, they go confused. Imagine.
It's actually disappointing because that bank is going to have mistrust from its clients.
What did this woman do? Now lizard open mouth, lizard never talk. How you go take talk am? Keep money for bank, you know safe. Why you go keep your money? Look, with this woman, you no go feel plan your life. You save money for bank, suffer. One day, you just hear say the money don't become antelope. It don't run away, and all your future money, your future plan, it don't run away with be that too. How you go do? This story is spoil the name of the bank. It don't put fear for the mind of customers, and it fit make people they begin to run away from banks, begin put money under pillow. That one na wahala.
When they first start the case, Loretta plead say she no dey guilty of these charges. But when EFCC carry 4 witnesses follow body with different evidence documents, 11 exhibits, Loretta sharply change mouth to say actually she thief this money. Lawyer wey dey defend am join beg court say abeg make them pity am as they do the sentence.
It's actually obvious that she planned to do something like that, so she's dubious.
You know what in the worry me paso? This woman don't destroy the future of all her children. Now, especially now we say she don't go prison. If you talk to anybody where one marry and then of in Pikino, boy or girl, that one a trouble. Who go marry? Now big risk. Maybe anybody who want marry her son or daughter, if they see what me, I know they see you. That one with the column, you do test trap with your head. Me, I know the inside though.
The man is a pro. The man is a pro. For her to deny first and then accept later, maybe her conscience is telling her
to marry the son of such a woman.
If she has already been
okay, go ahead though.
In the act,
see, whatever happen now or future,
maybe
my own life,
I believe that the conscience is still working.
the life of my pikin, the life of my own family, all of them go there tied together with this family, with their name, with their thief mother. Okay, that one go hard though.
Basically, it's disappointing because she is supposed to be an example.
And you know, many pikin, many children, they learn what them to do from their papa and their mama. And you know, say many children they look at their mama more, for example. So this thing where this woman do, she don't scatter the future of all her children. And with the talk now, waiting this thing go cause for tomorrow for this pikin, we never see am. Now when tomorrow come, maybe that woman don't die, no day again. The story go, who they go? You won't go there. The pikin they won't get job, so they go say, hey, who's I? This woman, you know do well.
Justice DJ Aboki sentenced Loretta Baye to 6 months for count 1, 18 months for count 3, 12 months for count 4 and 9 months for prison for count 5. The judge yarn say this one go serve as lesson say crime no dey pay. All these sentences wey they give am go run bumper to bumper. As one dey finish, another one go start. This one means say Loretta go knack this prison uniform, balance for prison yard, do gang labor as prison warder dey watch him and him colleagues for prison there for the next 2 years. Then she fit to spend another extra 18 months if you no find that 11 million naira go return and give UBA. Kai, if Loretta don't marry, where she go after she come out for prison safe? You don't kuku carry disgrace go deliver give her family like birthday gift. Eh? We don't dey talk am for this program. Say dirty money they get taste for mouth when you dey chop am. But when them catch you, disgrace you like Loretta Baye like this, tori go wash sharp sharp. And I won't bet una say the stress no dey water at all. I beg my people. Na clean money sweet to chop pass. Till we waka come again for corruption tori next week. My name na Ufoma Eguriase. Una bye bye yo.
This na corruption tori.